stage now. He's our keynote speaker for the day. His name is Anthony Miguez, and he is going to enlighten us on some things about launching a business in a community, or something along those lines.
This is a great turnout. This is a lot of people. Anyway, so let me give you a little bit of background on me. For the last 10 years, I'm basically a startup addict. I started my first business when I was 8 years old. We used to collect golf balls. We lived across from a public course and sell them back to the golfers. When I was 13, I started my own DJ business. I worked a little bit for a corporate, but then I figured out it was just a lot more fun to start your own businesses. And for the last 10 years, I've been advising and working with startups. I've been working with investors. I ran a $50 million fund out of Philadelphia, co-managed that. This is what keeps, I believe this is what the fountain of youth looks like. It's entrepreneurs.
Yes.
If you look at the Kaufman reports, every job that's been created for the last 20 years has come from startups. Every one. It's the ideas, and that's why the work that Wes and Steve are doing here to bring this community together is so important and so vital. I'm not from here originally, born and raised in Chicago, still bristling over the whole Blackhawks loss, but I'll get over it. So I was also selected over the last eight weeks, I threw the short straw, to be the human face of the Be Here initiative. How many people here know what the Be Here initiative is? All right, for those of you who don't, let me just run down a couple of things. The business improvement district downtown, that's run by Downtown Visions, consists of 70 square blocks. Basically, it's river to river and a couple blocks over to the other side of King Street. 300 plus businesses at street level. The Be Here initiative has recognized the value of location-based services, and because of that, is going to put all of those businesses on multiple platforms accurately. We will be the first downtown in the nation that has been accurately mapped on these platforms. We're obviously a smaller downtown than some other downtowns, but it's also a big deal to have that accuracy, because maps are really important. They sort of shape how we view our world and how we want to explore our world. But that's another presentation. So when Wes called and said, would you speak and talk a little bit about Be Here, I said, sure. Well, what are you thinking? And he's like, I don't know, some of the learnings you had and sort of getting something started in the community. After living and breathing startups for 10 plus years, it's hard for me to remove that framework. So I think some of the things that we saw in the Be Here initiative are going to be applicable to all of you as you start thinking about your startups, your small businesses, and how you grow. There's lots of similarities. So when we started with the Be Here initiative, we had to worry about the same things you have to do with your business, right? Value propositions, what your communication and branding strategies are going to be, all of those different things that are out there. And so I'm really excited to share with you 3 things, just 3. And I'm happy to take questions. I will not use the whole time, so you can just relax.
I'm good. I'm not even looking.
All right. So let me start by saying that one of the first things you realize, whether you're starting a business or thinking about starting a business, is that ideas are worthless. I've been advising investors, angel investors, and on the fund side for a long time. You get a lot of people that come to you and say, oh, I got this great idea. It's like, that's great. Go forth and prosper. I get people that come and say, I can tell you my idea, but I need you to sign an NDA first. Like, I don't care about it. Ideas aren't what drive value. Execution drives value. Build a business on that idea, and that's what has value. Create jobs with that idea, that's what has value. The idea itself doesn't have value. A year ago, I wrote a blog post about using location-based services to drive socially conscious behavior and using it for economic development. A year ago. Nothing came of it. So not a lot of value, right? And I'm the guy that always says ideas are worthless. So what happened? Well, have that big, powerful aha moment, you kind of get like Gollum from Lord of the Rings talking about my precious and all that kind of crap. Like all of a sudden, you don't want to share. You think, I see this. I can make this happen. I can make, and it doesn't go anywhere. It wasn't until I got out and I started talking to people and sharing my idea and talking to anybody that would listen, strangers sitting next to me at Chelsea or other, like just anybody, picking up the phone call and making appointments to just give me 15 minutes, let me buy you coffee at Brew, I got this idea. That all of a sudden, there became some energy. All of a sudden, you could tell that something was beginning to happen. Now, the best part about this is that the idea I was talking to everyone about was this thing called Beta Town, which is not be here. Which brings me to point number 2, which is, you're not as smart as you think you are. Not all of you, of course, I'm talking about everybody else. Every person that I touched with my idea shaped it, informed it, evolved it, grew it, gave me feedback that I went back to. I mean, the thing is, ideas aren't babies to be like coddled and protected. Ideas are spaghetti meant to be thrown against the wall and see if they go. And we did that time and time again. And what came out was something that was more actionable, more focused, that had real clarity around it, and was really generating some support and some interest. And the circle just began growing and growing. The other thing that happened was I wasn't even smart enough to know who I should be talking to. Some of the people that stepped up to be evangelists, supporters, just helpful in giving feedback, were people that weren't even on my radar screen. But they were introductions from introductions from introductions. They were, somebody that just all of a sudden said, hey, I heard about from this person. You're not smart enough to know all the people you need to talk to. You're not smart enough to understand whether or not you have. That's why when we talk about startups, the phrase you hear time and time again is not founder, it's team. Investors invest in the team. I mean, unless you're Steve Jobs, which I ain't, though I try to wear black as much as possible, it's just not going to happen. So it's about surrounding yourself with smart people, whether that's through mentor relationships, whether that's through grabbing a coffee with somebody, whatever it is. It's about getting bigger brains around you so that you can vet that idea and not being stubborn about it, being humble enough to say, you know what, I'm asking you this question because maybe I don't know. And I don't know is one of the most powerful phrases you can have in this life. Because it's that second, I know what I know. The key is knowing what you don't know and finding the people that can actually make that happen. And for me, that's one of the things that's made the Be Here initiative and the 8 weeks of sort of volunteerism that's gone around it a win. I mean, we're going to get this city map. We're going to be the first in the country. We're going to be, as an experiment, a great model for others to take and improve on and continue to evolve. But for me, I've got friends, knowledge, connections that I didn't have when I started. Because it wasn't all about me. I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I figured it out. The last piece is you've really got to get to people that you want to get to. There are people that have key bits of knowledge that you need to get just myopically focused about finding. So if you're a startup and you absolutely need to talk to the CEO of this, you've got to find a way to do it. It's a test. If your idea is really that great, if your execution is that strong, if your value proposition is that incredible, then you will find a way. This is just one of those hurdles that you've got to figure out a way to get over. You can't worry about looking foolish. You can't worry about, I really don't know anybody there, blah, blah, blah. I think about Will Minster. I mean, for those of you who know Will, great champion for downtown, has been entrepreneur, running the family business, expanding it. I mean, he knows he would.
No, not at all.
He'll agree.
You're the one who said he had a big screen attached to
Yeah.
his keyboard. I mean, I can only imagine the conversation as Will goes to his boss at Downtown Visions, where he's been working for 3 months, and says, hey, I got an idea. We're going to do location-based services for all of downtown. I can only imagine what his boss's response was. But the endorsement that came from his boss was the letter that opened the door for us in a lot of these platforms. When we went out to the Go Wild, when we went out to the Google, when we went out to Foursquare, he knew we needed that, and he was willing to go out and make sure that happened. He sat down with, the mayor's office and did the same thing. I mean, if there's somebody that has information, if there's feedback that you need to be willing to walk out there and you can. Now, Steve Blank, who teaches entrepreneurship out of Stanford, always says, no business plan survives first contact with the customer. The sooner you can get that first contact with the customer, the sooner you can start learning. Because startups are, to steal Eric Ries's thunder, enterprises designed to learn. When you think about what a startup does, launch early, iterate, take customer feedback, that's the learning process. The learning process for everything that we do is about action and reflection. So what did I do? What did I get? How do I do it better next time? That requires an action. It requires getting a level of feedback. The story that I'll tell you, and then I'll take a few questions, but so I was charged on our team to go out and find who we needed to talk to at Foursquare. So I'm on the website, which is traditional, and I look, I'm like, what is it? They've got things for brands, they've got things for, businesses. I'm like, where do we fit? I mean, what we're doing is different. What we're doing is new. So I did what any good entrepreneur would do, and I sent out a tweet. I basically said, yo, Denz, who's the founder of Foursquare, yo, Foursquare, you've got things for brands, you've got things for businesses, what you got for cities? Because we're doing big things here in Wilmington, I need someone to talk to. And Dennis Crowley tweeted me back literally 10 minutes later and said, here's the email address, tell us what you're doing, we're excited. So, take the chance, go out there, talk to somebody. If you need to talk to CEOs, if you need to talk to, people that you just don't think you can get to, that's what the networks are for. That's what you reach out to other people for. That's what you sit there and the story I just heard, I was just thinking about this. David Tisch, who's running New York Techstars, the program that just started. He wanted to bring Techstars to New York for 2 years. He kept trying to get on David Cohen's calendar. David Cohen's the founder of Techstars, which is a great incubator program. If you have a great idea in a true startup sense, technology, basically focus on tech stuff. But if you have one of those, that's a program with a mentor program and everything else that really, it's a great one. He wants it. He wants to bring it to New York. He thinks New York needs it. He keeps calling David Cohen. David Cohen doesn't have time on his calendar. He keeps calling. David Cohen, once a month, holds office hours. David Tisch gets 15 minutes at one of those office hours, flies out to take the office hours outside of New York, because there's no Techstars program in New York. Flies out to Techstars, gets a 15-minute slot, sells them on it. They just launched 11 companies out of New York. David Tisch is the head of the New York Techstars. If you want something enough, go out and get it.